Welcome to Season 2 of the Mapleside Chats, your glimpse into the CEIBS MBA. This podcast presents you with the inside scoop on what really happens behind the scenes of China's top business school. Located in Shanghai on Hongfeng Road or Red Maple Road, the China-Europe International Business School aims to develop tomorrow's business leaders with a China-depth, global breadth mindset. Sounds intriguing? Let's get started. Welcome everyone. This is episode 3 of the CEIBS Student Ambassador podcast. Today we are going to be talking about gaming and technology in China. So this has been a massive industry in the past, especially because there's been government regulation recently, which has been changing the landscape. A lot of Chinese companies have been thinking about leaving China or expanding overseas. So we're going to talk about some of these different issues. And today I'm joined by 3 lovely guests. So we have Caleb, Nicky, and Cathy. So Caleb, why don't you start and introduce yourself?
Hello, Will. So my name is Caleb, and I worked in Canada before, and then in Canada I was a startup. I created a startup that made a mobile game, and then we launched it just last year in 2022, and now I'm here in China and looking to learn more about this industry and how it works domestically.
Nice, awesome, thank you. And Nicky, what about you? Could you introduce yourself?
Okay, hello, my name is Nicky. I've been working in the game industry for about 6 years. My latest job was working in XD Global Gaming, mainly focus on marketing functions. And nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. And then next we have Cathy. So Cathy, if you could introduce yourself.
Hello guys, I'm Cathy. Instead of working at the gaming industry, I'm actually a professional player before. I was hired by an internet cafe as one of the team player, and we won some competitions. So nice to meet you all.
Nice. So we have some really varied experience. We have someone who is working in their own startup abroad, someone who is working domestically in China, and then also a very passionate professional player. So maybe let's start with Caleb. Could you tell us a little bit about how you founded your startup? How did you get into making games?
Okay, so before I've always been a avid gamer since at a very young age. And then I was also very into PC gaming. I never got really into console, but then during university, when I had I had less time to play games, I got more into mobile gaming. And then I was, as a software developer, after leaving university, I also felt that it's a passion of mine to gaming in general. And then also I think for mobile gaming, it's still an industry that's growing, and there's innovation to be made in that aspect. So I wanted to apply my software development skills to develop games, basically.
Okay, great. And then what actually is the game? Do you think you could describe it to us?
Okay, so the game's name is Heroic Fates, and it's basically a real-time action RPG. It's a 2D game, and then basically kind of has some gacha elements to it, and yeah.
Is it doing well?
Not really. I basically, since coming over to CEIBS, my team's kind of just been stagnant a bit, and then so far for now, I just closed down operations on development, and then I'm looking to maybe learn a bit more, and then using the knowledge that I gained in CEIBS and see how I can maybe revitalize this thing in the future. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. And then Cathy, what about you? How did you get into gaming?
I was actually introduced to gaming not until I was a freshman back in the university. And soon I find out I have kind of talent in playing, especially in League of Legends. So I soon reached the highest rank, the challenger rank, back in season 9. And when I came back China, I was actually playing at the internet cafe hired by them. they pay me a base salary, and if we won a competition as a team or by solo, I get extra bonus for that. But then I came to CEIBS, and I have a formal job, so I just quit the team.
Nice, that's really cool. Was that your full-time job when you were playing for the gaming cafe?
No, that's not actually my full-time job. I also have a full-time job back in, I think it's Johnson & Johnson. But in the part-time, for example, weekends or sometimes in the evening, I will really study up like the strategies, the techniques, like my professional skills really hard.
Okay, great. And then Nicky, did you have something you wanted to add?
For me, it was a very really long stories because I was a cosplayer during the college, and so one day just someone told me, why you don't just do some part-time for like cosplay to earn extra monies. And I said yes. And through these part-time jobs, I know many people who are working in the gaming industry, and they just told me that why why don't you just join us to do the marketing jobs in our company? And I said yes. So that's my stories.
Okay, so for you, you got into gaming through cosplay rather than actually playing.
Yeah.
How did you get into cosplay?
Just someone would told me about the interviews about these jobs, and I just attended interviews and got the job.
Okay, nice. And then Nicky, maybe because you've been working in the gaming industry in China, what do you think the gaming industry is like?
I thought it's a booming industry recent years, and it's growing. It is growing rapidly. But these years we're facing many problems like the policies or like pandemics. But actually, it's a very complicated question actually. And I thought the gaming industry in China is like, how can I say that? I thought the people in this industry are really interesting people because all the people there have passion with games, and actually we do have a lot of like good games or something. I don't know how to like.
So you think there are like talented individuals and there are like good games?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then maybe Caleb, obviously you were working in gaming in Canada, but for people who don't know, could you explain what are the regulations in China that are making it difficult at the moment?
So back when I was trying to launch my game in China, basically I tried going through the App Store first on iOS. We had to like go get a game license, and then Apple kind of told us like the 13-step process you can go through. And some of the requirements, like one of the people that are signing the legal documents has to be a Chinese citizen, and that meant we had to get somebody like that. You had to have a company based in China that could publish, I think. And then also for stuff like in the game itself, you need to have stuff like the ID verification because you need to restrict game time for underage people. And then so there was that law process to go through, and then you still were not certain whether it could get passed through or not. And but that was like a year ago, and I hear that now it's been slightly better. I don't know.
So when you saw that process, did it kind of like put you off? You were like, oh, this is such a long process and then it might not even be successful, or did you still try and get the license?
No, I didn't do the license because if we wanted to really do the China launch, then I also need to do like the localization of the game as well. And then we just wanted to launch first in English, and that just kind of hits the market that we want to do first. And then we didn't go to the next step of actually localizing it yet. But
so Cathy, as more of a player compared to someone who's working in the industry, what has your view been on like how all the regulations have impacted games that are coming out and the popularity of gaming in China?
I would say definitely the regulations on the esports is being recognized by the majorities now, because back in the old time people who play video games or going to the internet cafe are were like viewed as bad kids. but nowadays, as we officially adding the esport into the I think it's called the Asian Olympics, the 亚运会, and people are now viewing this as a legit job, a good opportunity for business to expand, and also it's also good for the economic growth, but because it was always underestimated before. And as a player, I can definitely see more people are joining into the gaming industry, and the potential, the profit is also growing for like some of the major games. I did some research. For example, for League of Legends, they had a 20% growth during the pandemic time because people cannot go out. So the only entertainment method they got is the video games. So they earned like a 1.95 billion revenue for 2021. And for the King of Glory, I think that's a domestic Chinese game. It's actually 2.5 billion.
Okay, that's great. So it shows it was interesting while during the pandemic, lots of industries were declining. So you're saying the gaming industry was actually growing.
Yes, because the gaming industry's revenue source mainly comes from like the in-game purchase. For example, you purchase a skin or you purchase a new hero. And another part will come from the advertising as well as the I think the live streaming of those like professional players playing via the social media, like Twitching or Bilibili. And since people cannot get out of their rooms, they can only either watch the games or maybe just play the games themselves. So it's actually boosting this kind of revenue.
Do you think the gaming industry is different in Canada compared to in China, Caleb?
Can I not answer this question? I don't really know.
You don't know?
I don't
It's okay
I don't
to
know
say you don't know.
about China. Yeah, so...
Okay, but then maybe just so from my point of view, I remember when I got into gaming in the UK and so I was playing League of Legends as well. And I would join like just teams with friends and we would compete in like small competitions. But then I would look into Asia, especially in like South Korea and China. And I already felt like the infrastructure was like so much bigger. Like there were PC cafes where people would go and play with their friends. There were local tournaments. There were like big national tournaments. And for example, I lived in London, which is the capital of the UK. There's not a single PC cafe like when I was growing up in the same way there is in China. So when I came to China for the first time, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I wish we'd had this. It's so fun. Either you just come with your friends and you get to play together, or you could go by yourself and it's quite a cheap, like nice way to relax and play games. So I don't know, in Canada, do you have like the same PC cafe environment, or is it more sort of personal, like individual?
In terms of the cafe aspect, no, we did not have PC cafes really. And then, I mean, now there's some popping up because people coming from China, they're actually used to that kind of environment. Like they like the kind of LAN party vibes that you get in a cafe. But then mostly we were very individual in terms of like as gamers, right? And then in terms of like actually as a developer point of view, because I feel that being in the West with development game engines like Unity and Unreal Engine being worked on over there, you have a bit more, you get better feel of the pulse of the whole like technology advancement there. And then I think coming to China, maybe I have not found that yet. So I do feel a bit disconnected from kind of what's up and coming, right, in the industry. Yeah.
Then maybe, Nicky, this is a better question for you. Like, what do you think? I guess the question would be, because obviously, do you know anything about sort of the gaming industry in the West? And like, how do you see the difference between like China and then like Western countries?
Okay, I haven't get in touch with the Western market before, but I do work for the Southeastern Asia market. And I thought there are some differences between the Chinese market and the Southeastern Asia market, but it's been more on the cultures of their countries and the regulations, the local regulations, the differences between these countries. So make us make us make different decisions when we try to promote our games in these countries. And the regulation and culture is the main point for the differences.
Okay, and then you just touched on your work a little bit. Could you kind of describe when you were working in gaming, what was your typical week like, or what was the environment like?
Okay, I usually start my work start at 10:30, which is later time for most of other industries as well. And for most of the time, we would check the feedback of our promotion advertisings from the previous days, and we will have a meeting at 11, 11:30, and we will have a small meeting for our today's objective or our targets, and do some and just planning for the rest of the work. And after having lunch, we just do what we have to do, basic jobs these days.
Mm-hmm. And then, so was your office based in Shanghai?
Yeah.
What was it like inside? Was it very open, or did people kind of have their own spaces, or was everyone sort of working together and moving around?
Yes, it's open, more like PC cafes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually we have a tag in 大众点评, it's which is called the XD XD network, and that makes many other people thought that we are a PC cafes really in there. It was really interesting that many other people will come to our companies and ask for the guard and said why they just didn't let us in, because this is a PC cafe, but actually we are not.
So everyone was mistaking your work for a PC cafe.
Yeah. Actually, I call taxi to company every day, and someday a driver just asked me, "Are you working for a PC cafe?" Yes, because I know there is a PC cafe right there. Is that your job? And I said yes.
Awesome. And then, so maybe I'll throw it to Cathy now. So Cathy, your experience in gaming is, I think, probably quite unique, and lots of people play games and then wish they could be really good, but you're actually very good at games. So do you have any interesting stories that you would like to share?
Yes, I actually have several interesting stories I want to share. The first one I think relates to the PC cafe, abroad PC cafes. Once I was traveling in Washington D.C. and I searched for internet cafe instead of hotel because we forgot to book hotel, so there's no hotel left for us. So we searched, and there was only one PC cafe in the entire Washington D.C. district. So we went there and we discovered all the players being Asian, no matter they're Korean, Japanese, or just Chinese. They're just all Asian people playing games at there. And they actually said to women, you shouldn't supposed to even be here. And I said, why a woman cannot play video games? It's just it's a males dominating stuff. And then I said, if you can beat me, I'll actually pay you $10. And he's very annoyed by it, but he was defeated by me. I think 10 times or maybe 12 times, and he actually paid me $100 or something like that.
So basically you're saying you hustled him?
No, because I think I was being disrespected by him, and I think it's also a kind of stereotypes for gaming industry that women can't play video games as good as men. But it's actually like a big mistake because I know like several good players are also like female players. But I have to admit, sometimes the men players are like more sophisticated or maybe just have more talent on being the professional players.
So do you think, is that something you've experienced often? Because there's definitely a stereotype that only guys play games. And then I think there's always been a big stigma towards like women who are good at games or want to play as well. So do you think you've had this kind of discrimination?
Yes, I face that a lot because when I play, especially back in China, I think this discrimination just get worse. Once I was playing and my techniques may attract some like random players online, and they added me as a friend. And when we are connected through the microphone, they discovered that I'm actually a female player, and then they just started to like harass me, saying like dirty words and like I got your back, like just stand down and watch me play, and they just suck. So yeah, I think discrimination really happened more often than we think. And I think it's kind of ESG problem because every time I go to the PC, the PC cafe, it's only me and like couple of girlfriends, I think, brought by the other men players. And sometimes they actually will hire like the female players just to accompany them to make their gaming experience more happy, I think. Because the female players usually say like, you're so awesome, oh, I like you so much, and can you heal me a little bit? Oh, thank you, with those like very cute voices. So yeah, I think it's something we can work on.
And then, so Caleb, do you think there are any other like stereotypes in the industry, like some which you think are true and some which you think are not true? So for example, I think people view gaming and they think that everyone involved in gaming loves gaming, but they're also like very nerdy. Like how would you view like those two stereotypes or any others you've sort of encountered?
So in terms of like, this kind of maybe relates to like the question back to like Nicky's was talking about the day in a typical day or a typical week like, and then because I know a lot of people with a similar situation coming out from computer science want to do game development, or a lot of people coming from art school want to do digital art for games. And I think one of the misconceptions is that it's kind of easy, but from a if you want to do a startup point of view, I can say it's one of the hardest things to do as a developer, software developer, because before I've also worked in just other kind of application or web application and that kind of stuff. But then doing game development, you need to have like incorporate both game design, art design, and like very tricky technical stuff, and then piece that all together. And then you're also working with people that come from very different backgrounds. For example, you kind of mentioned like there's that stereotypical nerdy programmer type, and it's true. A lot of people come from like computer science. They maybe lack some social experiences, but then a lot of people coming from the creative background, like art school or like music or design, that kind of aspect, they're maybe a bit more extroverted or they have more creative thought processes. And then when you have a team of these kind of people that kind of have a conflict of like personalities or the way they deal with work, then a lot of problems occur. And then I think as people that want to get into this industry, that kind of want to maybe create their own game or do their own thing, this is definitely something that you need to mentally prepare for, because kind of my work day back then was very, very, very long and very, very tough, because both as the developer and as the manager of the company, I'm balancing between my two development teams, the art team and the software team. And then at the same time, I'm also fixing up stuff and then having my input on both software side of things and on the art side of things. So yeah, I'd say that this is a very, very tough industry. And I think in the West, people know that as developers going into this industry that it's tough because from what I can hear from my friends, the companies, they kind of hook you in with the concept that, let's say you're working on Halo, which is an IP that, man, I used to love Halo or whatever. But then they hook you in and then they kind of milk you dry with everything you got, and then you get just kind of tossed away and that kind of stuff because, it's a lot of people have a lot of passion in this industry, and it's unfortunate, but I do think that some companies take advantage of that passion and you don't get compensated well enough for that.
I had many questions by other people. They're saying like, can you like playing games during work time? And my answer is definitely yes. And we can play games during the work. But we do not only play games. Yeah, we do many other stuff like plan jobs, like all of the people do. Yeah.
I actually heard for like the Royal Games, like the employees are required to play at least 2 hours per day, counting as the working hours, just to get used to know like how the games developed, how the actual players are being experienced the game, because the games the games have to be like regularly developed and adding modifications to it just to add its like playability for not only retaining like the old customers but also to attract new customers. So I actually kind of admire that kind of working culture or like the company environment. But yes, just as Caleb said, there are some gaming companies really just does not do any compensation to the actual developers.
Yeah, I definitely had the experience. I was talking to someone who worked at MiHoYo, so they make the mobile game Genshin Impact. And one of the first questions she asked me, she was like, "Oh, so what level are you?" And I had to very awkwardly reply like, "Oh, I'm really busy with school. I haven't been playing any games, but like I'll definitely get on it." And it's literally on my to-do list. It's to play Genshin Impact, and I still haven't done it. So yeah.
So I have a tips for like job interviews in gaming industries. If you are going to like attend an interview for a certain game companies, you definitely have to try their games before the interview. It is really, really important.
And then maybe sticking with you, Nicky, since you've been at CEIBS, has your view of the gaming industry changed? And do you want to stay in the gaming industry after you graduate?
Yes, I thought my view didn't change. I still want to pursue my career in the gaming industries because after I went to CEIBS, I really missed the days in my latest companies, and I miss them. I wanna go back to the industry and create something more with these these people. I love them and I love the industries.
Great. And then Caleb, what about you? Kind of like your final question, has your view of gaming changed at all? And are you going to keep trying to work in gaming now you're in China?
I think coming to business school, I do definitely think more about the business side of gaming development and the industry as a whole. And I do think that there are a lot of difficulties in that industry coming from a development point of view. And I think after graduation, I want to stay in the tech sector. And I also still want to be doing like innovative software side stuff and creating products. But then I might put gaming on hold until I kind of mentioned before, if I found like a bit more, if there's opportunities and if I feel that I have the energy to go back to doing this. But yeah, it definitely changed my perspective after talking a lot with my classmates and also learning about the more how like a business operates and that kind of stuff.
Okay, great. And then finally, Cathy, do you think you'll continue to be involved in gaming just as a fan, or do you think you might look to getting involved in the industry more?
I guess I will find a job, or if I can find a job, maybe the first choice will be the gaming industry, because after like coming to CEIBS, coming to a professional business school, I discovered there were a lot of jobs created in the gaming company, not just like a game tester or game developer. Just as Nicky said, there are also operation, marketing, and even content operation team within the gaming company. And I think those are the positions I'm capable of and I'm willing to be.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for joining me, you guys. That is the end of our episode about gaming and technology in China. So just one more time, say thank you to Caleb, Nicky, and Cathy for joining the SA podcast. We hope you've enjoyed this glimpse into MBA life at CEIBS. If you have any questions or comments about this episode or the podcast in general, please feel free to reach out. Our email is in the podcast description. Stay tuned for our next episode.